The wind cut through 6-year-old Destiny Williams like ice-cold knives as she stumbled through the snow, her baby brother Caleb pressed against her chest. Her bright red coat, too thin for the blizzard, was soaked through. Caleb's crying had stopped an hour ago, and that scared her more than anything. His little lips were turning blue, just like the social worker had warned her about when kids got too cold. 3 shelters had turned them away. No room, they said. Try somewhere else, they said. But where else was there to go when the snow kept falling and the temperature kept dropping? Destiny's small feet had lost feeling 2 blocks ago, but she kept walking because stopping meant something terrible might happen to Caleb. The mansion in front of her looked like something from a fairy tale, with its huge iron gates and glowing windows. Destiny had never seen a house so big. Every window seemed to have warm light pouring out, and she imagined how wonderful it would be to sit by a fireplace with Caleb, both of them safe and warm. Are you wondering what drove this brave little girl to walk through a deadly storm with her baby brother? Will you subscribe to find out how this incredible story ends and share your thoughts in the comments about what you think the billionaire will do? Her fingers were so numb she could barely press the intercom button. When she finally managed it, static crackled through the speaker. Destiny waited, bouncing Caleb gently even though her arms ached from carrying him for hours. Please, she thought, please let someone answer. Inside the mansion, 28-year-old Christopher Blake sat in his study, reading business reports by the fireplace. The storm outside made him grateful for his warm home, though he often felt lonely in such a big space. The intercom buzz surprised him. His staff had left hours ago because of the weather, and he wasn't expecting anyone. Christopher walked to the video monitor and froze. On the screen, he saw a small figure in a red coat, holding what looked like a bundle of blankets. Snow covered everything, making it hard to see clearly, but something about the scene made his heart race. He grabbed his blue coat and ran to the front door, not bothering with shoes. The moment he opened it, the wind nearly knocked him backward, but what he saw made him forget about the cold entirely. A little girl stood at his gate, her dark skin pale from the cold, her hair covered in snow and ice. In her arms, she held a baby who wasn't moving. Both children looked like they had been walking in the storm for a very long time. Please, mister, Destiny called out through chattering teeth. My baby brother needs to get warm. I can work for you. I can clean or help with anything you need. Just please don't let him freeze. Christopher didn't hesitate. He punched in the gate code and ran through the snow to reach them. Up close, he could see how serious the situation was. The baby's breathing was shallow and the little girl was swaying on her feet. Come inside right now, Christopher said, taking off his coat and wrapping it around both children. We need to get you both warm immediately. Destiny wanted to be suspicious. Adults had hurt her before and she had learned not to trust easily. But Caleb needed help and this man's eyes looked kind. More importantly, he was already helping them toward the house without asking questions or making demands. The warmth inside the mansion hit them like a gentle wave. Christopher led them to the living room, where a fire crackled in the huge stone fireplace. He grabbed blankets from a nearby closet and wrapped them around Destiny while carefully checking on baby Caleb. What's your name, sweetheart? Christopher asked gently as he helped Destiny sit on the couch closest to the fire. Destiny Williams. This is my baby brother Caleb. He's 6 months old. Her voice was small and tired, but she held Caleb protectively. We don't have anywhere else to go. Christopher could see that both children needed immediate medical attention. He called his personal doctor, Dr. Martinez, who lived nearby and often helped during emergencies. While they waited, he made warm milk for Caleb and hot chocolate for Destiny. Destiny, I need you to drink this slowly, Christopher said, handing her the mug. It will help warm you up from the inside. As Destiny sipped the hot chocolate, color began returning to her cheeks. Caleb stirred in her arms, making soft baby sounds that filled Christopher with relief. The baby was responding to the warmth. Where are your parents? Christopher asked carefully, not wanting to scare her. They got hurt in a car accident. The people at the foster home were mean to us. The man there. Destiny stopped talking and held Caleb tighter. I had to take Caleb and leave. I couldn't let anything bad happen to him. Christopher felt his heart break for these brave children. A 6-year-old girl had walked through a blizzard to protect her baby brother. He had never met anyone so young with such courage and love. Dr. Martinez arrived within 30 minutes, despite the storm. She was a kind Hispanic woman with gentle hands who immediately began checking both children. After a thorough examination, she smiled at Christopher. They're going to be fine. The baby shows early signs of hypothermia, but we caught it in time. The little girl is exhausted and undernourished, but she's strong. A few days of warmth, good food, and rest will help them recover completely. As Dr. Martinez prepared medicine for Caleb, Christopher made a decision that would change all their lives. These children needed safety and love, and he had both to give. Whatever it took, he would make sure Destiny and Caleb never had to face such danger again. The next morning brought sunshine and the sound of snow melting off the roof. Destiny woke up slowly, confused by the soft bed and warm blankets around her. For a moment she couldn't remember where she was. Then she heard Caleb making happy baby sounds and everything came back to her. Christopher sat in a chair nearby, holding Caleb and giving him a bottle. He wore a green sweater and jeans, looking much more relaxed than he had during the storm. When he saw Destiny was awake, he smiled. "Good morning, brave girl." Caleb slept through the night and ate a full breakfast. "How are you feeling?" Destiny sat up carefully, still not sure if this was real or a dream. The room was beautiful, with yellow walls covered in paintings of flowers and mountains. Sunlight streamed through tall windows, making everything look magical. "Is this really happening?" she asked quietly. "Are we really safe?" "You are completely safe," Christopher promised. "Both of you. And you can stay here as long as you need to." A woman with curly brown hair knocked on the door. Christopher introduced her as Rebecca Thompson, his assistant. She carried a tray of pancakes, fruit, and milk, along with some clothes that looked like they would fit Destiny perfectly. "I went shopping early this morning," Rebecca said with a warm smile. "I guessed your size, but if anything doesn't fit, we can exchange it." The clothes were beautiful. A bright blue dress with flowers on it, warm leggings, and shoes that were exactly Destiny's size. There were also baby clothes for Caleb, including an adorable green outfit with little elephants. After breakfast and baths for both children, Christopher sat down with Destiny in the sunny living room. Caleb played on a soft blanket nearby, reaching for colorful toys that Christopher had somehow found overnight. "Destiny, I need to ask you some questions, but I want you to know that whatever you tell me, you and Caleb will stay safe. Can you tell me more about what happened to your parents?" Destiny took a deep breath. She had kept this story inside for weeks, too scared to tell anyone. But Christopher had helped them without asking for anything back, and his eyes were kind. "Mama and Daddy were driving to pick us up from daycare. It was raining really hard. Another car ran a red light and hit them." Tears started falling down her cheeks. "The police came and told us our parents were in the hospital, but they were hurt really bad." Christopher handed her tissues and waited patiently while she wiped her eyes. "They put us with the Johnson family. Mr. Johnson seemed nice at first, but he got angry a lot. He yelled at me when Caleb cried at night. Mrs. Johnson just watched TV and didn't help with anything. Then Mr. Johnson started." Destiny stopped and looked at Caleb. "You don't have to tell me everything right now," Christopher said gently. "But I want you to know that no one will ever hurt you again while you're here." He pushed me down the stairs because Caleb was crying during his TV show. I had bruises all over my back. When he said he was going to put Caleb in the basement where we couldn't hear him cry, I knew we had to leave. Christopher felt anger rising in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. "How did you manage to take care of Caleb and get away?" "I packed baby formula and diapers in my school backpack. I waited until they were both asleep, then I took Caleb and climbed out the window. We walked for 3 days, staying in places where people wouldn't see us. When the storm started, I was so scared Caleb would freeze." Christopher was amazed by this little girl's intelligence and courage. She had planned an escape, taken care of a baby, and survived on the streets, all to protect her brother. "Destiny, you are the bravest person I have ever met. What you did to save Caleb shows how much love you have in your heart." "Will you call the police?" she asked, fear creeping into her voice. "I'm going to call some people who can help us find out about your parents and make sure you're safe. But I promise you, no one will take you anywhere you don't want to go." Christopher spent the afternoon making phone calls. He spoke with social services, hospitals, and his team of lawyers. What he learned made him both angry and determined to help. Terrell and Simone Williams, Destiny's parents, were indeed in hospitals after their car accident. They had been in comas for weeks and were just starting to recover. The social services system had failed to keep proper track of the children's placement, and no one had been monitoring the Johnson foster home. By evening, Christopher had a plan. His lawyers were working to remove the children from the dangerous foster situation permanently. His private investigators were gathering information about the parents' recovery. Most importantly, he had arranged for the best social worker in the city, Mrs. Patterson, to visit them the next day. As they sat by the fireplace after dinner, Destiny asked, "Why are you helping us? We're not your family." Christopher looked at her serious little face and felt his heart grow 3 sizes bigger. Sometimes family isn't just about blood, Destiny. Sometimes it's about people who care for each other. You and Caleb need someone to care for you, and I need people to care about. Maybe we can help each other." Destiny smiled for the first time since before the storm. As she fell asleep that night, safe and warm, she whispered a prayer of thanks for the kind man who had opened his door when they needed help most. 3 days had passed since the storm, and life in Christopher's mansion had taken on a gentle rhythm. Every morning, Destiny woke up to find Christopher already in the kitchen, making breakfast and preparing Caleb's bottle. She couldn't believe how naturally he had learned to take care of a baby. "You're really good with him," Destiny said, watching Christopher bounce Caleb on his knee while they waited for eggs to cook. "I never had brothers or sisters," Christopher replied. "Taking care of you two is teaching me things I never knew I wanted to learn." Destiny wore a bright maroon dress that Rebecca had brought her, along with warm tights and comfortable shoes. For the first time in months, she felt like a normal little girl instead of someone who had to worry about everything all the time. Mrs. Patterson arrived that morning, carrying a briefcase and wearing a kind smile. She was an African-American woman in her 50s who had worked with children for over 20 years. Christopher had specifically requested her because she had a reputation for putting children's needs first. "Destiny, I'm here to make sure you and Caleb are safe and happy," Mrs. Patterson explained as they sat in the living room. "Mr. Blake has told me about your situation, but I'd like to hear from you too." For the first time since leaving the foster home, Destiny felt comfortable talking to an adult in authority. Mrs. Patterson listened without interrupting, taking notes and nodding at appropriate times. She didn't make Destiny feel like she was in trouble or that she had done anything wrong. "You showed incredible strength and wisdom, young lady. Many adults wouldn't have been able to do what you did to protect your brother." After Mrs. Patterson finished her interviews and paperwork, she spoke privately with Christopher in his study. Through the door, Destiny could hear their voices but not their words. She tried not to worry, but change had always meant bad things in her young life. Christopher emerged with a big smile. "Destiny, Mrs. Patterson and I have good news. You and Caleb are going to stay here with me until we can find your parents and make sure everything is safe for your family." Destiny felt relief wash over her like warm water. "Really? We don't have to go back to the Johnsons?" "Never," Mrs. Patterson said firmly. "I've already filed reports about that situation. They will not be allowed to care for children anymore." That afternoon, Christopher surprised Destiny by showing her a room he had been preparing. It was painted soft purple with white furniture sized just right for a little girl. There was a bookshelf filled with stories, a desk for drawing and homework, and a rocking chair next to a crib for Caleb. "Is this for us?" Destiny asked, her eyes wide with wonder. "This is your room for as long as you need it? I thought you might like having your own space while still being close to Caleb." Tears of happiness rolled down Destiny's cheeks. She had never had her own room before. Even at home with her parents, she and Caleb had shared a small bedroom. This room was bigger than the entire apartment they had lived in. "Thank you, Mr. Christopher. This is the most beautiful room I've ever seen." "Just Christopher is fine. We're family now, remember?" Over the next few weeks, their routine became more established. Christopher hired a gentle nanny named Jennifer Martinez, Dr. Martinez's sister, to help with Caleb during the day while Destiny did schoolwork with a tutor. Christopher had arranged for her to continue her education at home until they could figure out the best school situation. Destiny discovered that Christopher was nothing like the rich people she had seen on television. He cooked breakfast every morning, helped with Caleb's baths, and read bedtime stories every night. He never made her feel like a burden or like she owed him anything. One evening, as they sat by the fireplace with hot chocolate, Destiny asked, "Christopher, were you lonely before we came here?" Christopher considered the question carefully. He had learned that Destiny deserved honest answers, even to difficult questions. "Yes, I was lonely. This house felt too big for just one person. I worked all the time because I didn't have anyone to come home to. Now I look forward to coming home because I know you and Caleb will be here." "I was lonely too," Destiny admitted. "Even when Mama and Daddy were here, I worried about them all the time. They worked so much and money was always a problem. I had to grow up too fast." Christopher nodded understandingly. "Well, now you can just be 6 years old. You don't have to worry about taking care of everyone anymore. That's my job now." For the first time in her life, Destiny felt what it was like to be truly protected. She could play with toys, watch cartoons, and giggle at silly jokes without worrying about who would take care of Caleb or where they would sleep or what they would eat. As winter slowly turned to spring, the investigators Christopher had hired began finding important information. Destiny's parents were recovering faster than doctors had expected. They had been asking about their children every day since waking up, desperate to know where Destiny and Caleb were. The day Mrs. Patterson brought news about their parents, Destiny experienced a mix of emotions she had never felt before. Joy that her parents were alive and getting better, but also fear about leaving the safety and love she had found with Christopher. "What happens when Mama and Daddy get better?" she asked Christopher that night as he tucked her into bed. "We'll figure it out together," he promised. "But no matter what happens, you and Caleb will always be safe, and I will always be part of your family." As Destiny drifted off to sleep, she realized that for the first time since the car accident, she felt hope about the future. Whatever came next, she knew she was loved. Christopher's private investigation team worked around the clock to piece together the Williams family's story. The lead investigator, Michael Torres, had been gathering information from hospitals, insurance companies, and social services for 2 weeks. "Mr. Blake," Michael said during their morning meeting in Christopher's office, "I have some promising news about Destiny's parents." Destiny sat quietly in a blue dress and white tights, holding Caleb on her lap. Christopher had included her in these meetings because he believed she deserved to know what was happening with her family. "Terrell Williams is at Metro General Hospital. He's been awake for 3 weeks and is making good progress with physical therapy. His wife, Simone, is at St. Mary's across town. She woke up from her coma 5 days ago and is asking for her children constantly." Destiny's eyes filled with tears. "They're really okay. They're really alive." "They're both very much alive and working hard to get better so they can see you and Caleb," Michael confirmed. Christopher leaned forward in his chair. "What's been the barrier to reuniting them with the children?" "The system failed completely," Michael explained. "When the parents were admitted unconscious, no one properly documented their children's information. The social worker assigned to their case was handling too many families and didn't follow up properly. Meanwhile, the children were placed with the Johnsons without adequate background checks." "So Mama and Daddy have been looking for us this whole time?" Destiny asked. "Every single day. Your father has been trying to contact social services from his hospital bed. Your mother started asking for you the moment she woke up." Christopher felt both relief and anger. Relief that the children would soon be reunited with loving parents, and anger that the system had allowed such a dangerous situation to develop. "What's our next step?" Christopher asked. "I recommend arranging a video call first so the children can see their parents and vice versa. Then we can plan a hospital visit once Dr. Martinez confirms both children are emotionally ready." That afternoon, Christopher set up his laptop in the living room. Destiny wore her favorite red dress for the occasion, and Caleb was dressed in a green outfit with little cars on it. Jennifer helped by holding Caleb so Destiny could see the screen clearly. When Terrell Williams' face appeared on the video call, Destiny gasped. Her daddy looked thinner and had some bandages, but his eyes were the same loving eyes she remembered. "Daddy," she whispered, reaching toward the screen. "Baby girl," Terrell said, tears streaming down his face. "Oh my precious baby girl. And look how big Caleb has gotten." For several minutes they just looked at each other and cried happy tears. Christopher watched from nearby, his own eyes watery as he witnessed this beautiful reunion. "Destiny baby, Daddy is so proud of you. The people here told me how brave you were, how you took care of your brother and kept him safe. I was so scared, Daddy. I thought you and Mama were never coming back. We never stopped trying to get back to you, sweetheart. Never, not for 1 second." Christopher stepped into view of the camera. "Mr. Williams, I'm Christopher Blake. Destiny and Caleb have been staying with me." Terrell studied Christopher's face carefully. "Mr. Blake, I don't have words to thank you for what you've done for my children. They look healthy and happy. They're incredible kids." Destiny's courage and love for her brother amazed everyone who met them. The next day they had a similar video call with Simone Williams. She was still quite weak but became animated the moment she saw her children. "My babies," she cried. "Mama has missed you so much. Caleb, look how you've grown. And Destiny, you look like such a big girl. I took care of him, Mama. I made sure he ate and stayed warm and clean. You did such a good job, sweetheart. You're the best big sister in the whole world." After both video calls, Christopher could see the change in Destiny. She walked taller, smiled more often, and seemed lighter somehow. Knowing her parents were alive and loved her had lifted a weight from her small shoulders. "Christopher," she said that evening as they played with Caleb on the living room floor, "I'm excited to see Mama and Daddy, but I'm also scared." "What are you scared about? What if they're different now? What if they don't remember how to be our parents after being sick for so long?" Christopher picked up Caleb and sat cross-legged next to Destiny. "You know what I think? I think your parents' love for you never changed, not even when they were unconscious. Love doesn't disappear when people get hurt. Do you think they'll be mad that I took Caleb away from the foster home? Destiny, your parents are going to be proud of you for protecting your brother. You did exactly what they would have wanted you to do. Will you believe the incredible twist that's about to happen in this heartwarming story? Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss how this family's journey continues, and let us know in the comments what you think will happen when Destiny finally sees her parents again. As they prepared for the hospital visits, Christopher realized that these children had become such an important part of his life that saying goodbye to them would be one of the hardest things he had ever done. But their happiness mattered more than his own feelings, and seeing them reunited with loving parents would be worth any pain he might feel. The real search wasn't just about finding Destiny's parents anymore. It was about finding a way for all of them to stay connected as the family they had become. The weeks that followed the video calls were filled with preparation and growing excitement. Dr. Martinez visited twice a week to monitor both children's emotional readiness for the reunion, while Christopher made sure they maintained their routine of safety and love. Destiny had begun asking more questions about what would happen after they saw their parents. She wore a bright green dress with yellow flowers, and her hair was styled in neat braids that Rebecca had learned to do perfectly. "Christopher, will we have to leave here right away after we see Mama and Daddy?" she asked during breakfast. "Not right away," Christopher assured her. "Your parents need more time to recover before they can take care of you and Caleb properly. Dr. Martinez thinks it will be several more weeks. Will you visit us after we go back with them?" Christopher paused while flipping pancakes. This question had been keeping him awake at night. "Would you like me to visit?" "Yes," Destiny said immediately. "Your family now." Family visits each other. Jennifer Martinez had become like an aunt to both children. She spoke Spanish to Caleb, teaching him simple words, and helped Destiny with art projects. The house felt more alive than it had ever been. "Miss Jennifer," Destiny asked one afternoon while they colored pictures, "do you think my parents will like Christopher? From what you've told me about them, they sound like good people who will be grateful to anyone who helped their children. I want them all to be friends. Christopher gets lonely sometimes when he thinks we're not watching." Jennifer smiled at Destiny's perceptive observation. The little girl had developed a deep understanding of the adults around her, probably from having to grow up too quickly. That evening, Christopher received a call from Michael Torres with an update about the parents' recovery. Both Mr. and Mrs. Williams are progressing well. Terrell will be discharged to a rehabilitation center next week, where he'll continue physical therapy. Simone should be ready for discharge in about 10 days. "What about their living situation?" Christopher asked. "Their apartment was lost due to unpaid rent during their hospitalization. They have no savings left after the medical bills. They'll need temporary housing assistance once they're discharged." Christopher had been expecting this news. Medical emergencies often created financial disasters for working families, even those with insurance. He had already been thinking about solutions. The next morning he sat down with Destiny while Caleb napped in his crib. "Destiny, I have some news about your parents. They're getting much better and will leave the hospitals soon." Destiny's face lit up with joy, then clouded with worry. "Where will we live? Our old apartment is gone, isn't it?" Christopher was constantly amazed by how much this 6-year-old understood about adult problems. "I have an idea about that, but I want to know what you think first. How would you feel about your parents living here with us for a while, until they're completely better and can find a new place?" Destiny's eyes grew wide. "Really? They could live here too. This house has plenty of room. Your parents could have their own space to recover, and you and Caleb could stay in your room. We could all be together while they get strong again. You would do that for us." "Destiny, you and Caleb aren't just staying here temporarily. You've become my family. When your parents are ready, I want to help them too because they're part of you." That afternoon, Christopher called both hospitals to speak directly with Destiny's parents about his proposal. Both conversations were emotional and grateful. "Mr. Blake," Terrell said from his rehabilitation bed, "I don't know how we can ever repay your kindness. You don't need to repay anything. Your daughter saved her brother's life and found her way to my door during a blizzard. She brought more joy and purpose to my life than I had ever imagined. Helping your family is my privilege." "Destiny is special," Terrell agreed. "She's always been wise beyond her years. She's taught me what real courage looks like. I'd be honored if you and your wife would consider staying here while you recover. I want to make sure your family has everything you need to be together and healthy." Similar conversations with Simone were equally emotional. Both parents were overwhelmed by Christopher's generosity but also desperate to be reunited with their children. "We accept," Simone said tearfully. We accept with more gratitude than words can express. Plans were made for the hospital visits. Dr. Martinez would accompany them to provide support if anyone became overwhelmed. Rebecca had arranged for a medical transport van to accommodate Terrell's wheelchair and any equipment he might need. The night before their first visit to see Terrell, Destiny was too excited to sleep. Christopher found her sitting in the rocking chair in her room, holding one of Caleb's stuffed animals. Are you nervous about tomorrow? He asked, sitting on the edge of her bed. Yes, but happy nervous. Like when you're about to open a really good present. That's exactly what it's like. You're giving your parents the present of seeing their children safe and healthy. Christopher, will things change a lot when Mama and Daddy come here? Some things will change. You'll have your parents back, which is wonderful. But the important things won't change. You'll still be safe, still be loved, still be part of our family. Promise? I promise. As Christopher tucked Destiny into bed, he realized that tomorrow would begin a new chapter for all of them. The little girl who had knocked on his door during a blizzard had transformed not just her own life, but his as well. The morning of their first hospital visit dawned bright and clear. Destiny had been awake since sunrise, changing clothes 3 times before settling on her favorite blue dress with white trim. She wanted to look perfect for her daddy. Caleb seemed to sense the excitement in the house. He babbled more than usual and kept reaching toward the door, as if he knew something special was going to happen. Are you ready, sweetheart? Christopher asked as they loaded into the specially equipped van Rebecca had arranged. I think so, Destiny replied, though her hands were shaking slightly as she buckled her seatbelt. Jennifer sat next to her, offering comfort and support. Dr. Martinez had provided detailed instructions about keeping the visit positive and not overwhelming for anyone involved. Metro General Hospital was a large, intimidating building, but Christopher held Destiny's hand as they walked through the halls. She carried a picture she had drawn for her father, showing their family, including Christopher, standing in front of the mansion under a rainbow. When they reached Terrell's room, Destiny stopped in the doorway. Her father sat in a wheelchair by the window, wearing a blue hospital gown and looking much thinner than she remembered. But when he saw her, his whole face transformed with joy. Destiny, he whispered. She ran to him and carefully climbed onto his lap, being mindful of his injuries as Christopher had taught her. For several minutes they just held each other and cried happy tears. Daddy, I missed you so much. I was so scared you were never coming back. Baby girl, I never stopped fighting to get back to you. Even when I couldn't move or talk, I was thinking about you and Caleb every single day. Terrell looked over Destiny's head to Christopher. And you must be the angel who saved my children. Your daughter is the angel, Mr. Williams? She walked through a blizzard to keep her brother safe. Call me Terrell, please. Any man who cares for my children is family to me. They spent 2 hours visiting. Destiny showed her father the picture she had drawn and told him about her room, her toys, and all the books Christopher read to her every night. Terrell listened to every word with complete attention, as if nothing in the world was more important than hearing about her daily life. Daddy, Christopher is teaching me to play chess. And Miss Jennifer is teaching me Spanish words. And we have movie nights with popcorn. That sounds wonderful, baby girl. I'm so glad you're happy and safe. When it was time for Caleb's feeding, Terrell insisted on giving his son the bottle. His hands shook slightly, but his face glowed with pride as Caleb drank and looked up at him with bright, curious eyes. He's gotten so big, Terrell marveled. Look at those strong little hands. The visit to Simone the next day was equally emotional. She was in a regular hospital room, no longer in intensive care, wearing a bright pink robe that Rebecca had brought her. My precious babies, she cried when she saw them. Come here and let Mama hold you. Destiny was more cautious with her mother, who still looked fragile and tired. But Simone's arms felt familiar and safe, just like Destiny remembered. Mama, are you going to be okay? I'm going to be completely fine, sweetheart. The doctors say I just need more time to get strong again. Simone looked at Christopher with tears in her eyes. Mr. Blake, I will spend the rest of my life trying to figure out how to thank you properly. Please call me Christopher. And you don't need to thank me. Destiny and Caleb have given me more than I've given them. What do you mean? Christopher looked at the little family, all wearing bright, happy colors, all safe and together. Before they came to my house, I worked all the time and never really lived. They taught me what it means to have a family. Over the following weeks, the visits became more frequent and longer. Both parents grew stronger, and the children became more comfortable during each visit. Plans were finalized for Terrell and Simone to move into Christopher's house as soon as they were discharged. Christopher had prepared a suite of rooms on the first floor of his mansion, complete with wheelchair accessibility for Terrell and everything the family would need for privacy and comfort. "I can't believe this is really happening," Destiny told Christopher one evening as they prepared Caleb for bed. "What do you mean? I thought families could only get broken, not fixed. But our family is getting put back together, and it's even bigger now because you're part of it." Christopher felt his heart swell with love for this wise little girl who had changed his entire world. The day before Terrell's discharge from the hospital, he asked to speak privately with Christopher. "I need you to know something," Terrell said seriously. "When Destiny grows up and people ask her who the most important person in her childhood was, she's going to tell them about you. Terrell, you and Simone are her parents. You're the most important people." "We're her parents, yes. But you're the person who saved her life and showed her what unconditional kindness looks like. That's a gift that will shape who she becomes forever." Christopher realized that this family had given him something equally valuable. They had shown him what it meant to love without conditions, to open his heart completely, and to find purpose beyond his own success. Tomorrow they would all be under the same roof, beginning a new chapter of their story together. The mansion buzzed with excitement as everyone prepared for Terrell and Simone's homecoming. Christopher had spent days making sure every detail was perfect, from installing handrails in the hallways for Terrell's mobility to stocking the kitchen with all of Simone's favorite foods that Destiny had remembered. "Is everything ready, Miss Rebecca?" Destiny asked for the 10th time that morning. She wore a bright red dress with white polka dots, her hair decorated with matching ribbons that Jennifer had helped her choose. "Everything is perfect, sweetheart," Rebecca assured her while arranging fresh flowers in the living room. "Your parents are going to be so happy to be home. This is their home now too, right? Not just staying here." Christopher overheard the conversation and knelt down to Destiny's level. "This is your family's home for as long as you want it to be. Your parents, you and Caleb belong here." Jennifer had prepared a welcome home banner in both English and Spanish, decorated with handprints from Destiny and Caleb. The kitchen smelled amazing from the special dinner she was cooking, featuring all the comfort foods that would help the recovering parents feel loved and nourished. Dr. Martinez arrived early to conduct final health checks on both children and to provide medical support during the emotional reunion. She had become not just their doctor, but a trusted family friend who understood their unique situation. "How are you feeling about today, Destiny?" Dr. Martinez asked as she checked Caleb's development milestones. "Excited and nervous and happy all at the same time. Is that normal?" "That's completely normal for such a big day. You're about to have your whole family together in one place for the first time in months." The first car to arrive brought Simone from the hospital. Christopher had arranged for a comfortable sedan with extra cushions to make the ride as easy as possible for her recovery. When she stepped out of the car, wearing a beautiful green dress that Rebecca had brought to the hospital, Destiny ran straight into her arms. "Mama, you're really here. You're really home." "I'm home, baby girl. Mama is finally home." Simone looked around at the beautiful mansion grounds, taking in the manicured gardens, the fountain, and the sense of peace that surrounded everything. "Christopher, this place feels like a fairy tale." "It felt empty before your children filled it with life," Christopher replied honestly. 20 minutes later, the medical transport van arrived with Terrell. He was still using a wheelchair but looked much stronger than he had during their hospital visits. His face lit up when he saw his family waiting on the front steps. "There's my boy," he called out when he spotted Caleb in Simone's arms. "And my brave girl." The reunion on the front lawn was filled with tears, laughter, and gentle embraces. Neighbors walking by stopped to smile at the obvious joy radiating from the group. Christopher gave the family time alone while he and his staff finished preparing lunch. He watched through the kitchen window as Terrell held both his children, Simone sitting close beside him, all of them talking and laughing together. "Mr. Blake," Jennifer said quietly, "you've done something beautiful here." They did the beautiful thing. They trusted a stranger and let me become part of their family. Lunch was served in the sunny dining room, with Caleb in a high chair between his parents and Destiny chattering excitedly about everything she wanted to show them. The conversation flowed easily, as if they had all been living together for years instead of meeting for the first time. "Daddy, wait until you see my room. And Christopher has so many books. And we have movie night every Friday with popcorn and hot chocolate." "It sounds like you've been having wonderful adventures," Simone said, reaching over to smooth Destiny's hair. "The best adventure was being safe," Destiny replied seriously. "I wasn't scared anymore after Christopher helped us." After lunch, Christopher gave the family a complete tour of their new living space. The first floor suite included a master bedroom, a sitting area, a private bathroom with accessibility features, and a small kitchenette for privacy and independence. "Christopher, this is too much," Terrell said, looking around at the beautiful rooms. "We can't possibly accept all this." "You're not accepting charity, Terrell. You're accepting family. Destiny and Caleb are my family now, which makes you and Simone my family too. But the expense, the trouble? Do you know what my life was like before that snowy night when Destiny knocked on my door?" Christopher asked. "I worked 16 hours a day, ate dinner alone every night, and went to bed in a house that felt more like a museum than a home." He gestured toward the living room, where Destiny was showing Caleb how to stack colorful blocks while chattering to him in both English and the Spanish words Jennifer had taught her. "Look at what your children have given me. They've given me purpose, joy, and love. They've made this house into a home. Anything I do for your family is a small repayment for what they've done for me." Simone wiped tears from her eyes. "We raised good children. You raised incredible children. Destiny's courage and love saved not just Caleb's life, but mine too." That evening they had their first family dinner together. The dining room felt perfectly full with everyone gathered around the table, sharing stories and making plans for the future. "Christopher," Destiny announced during dessert, "now that we're all together, we need to have new family rules." "What kind of rules?" Christopher asked, amused. "Everyone has to say one good thing that happened during the day before we go to sleep. And we all have to help with something even if it's small. And we have to hug at least twice a day." "Those sound like excellent rules," Terrell agreed. "What do you think, Simone?" "I think our daughter is the wisest person at this table." As they prepared for bed that night, Destiny realized that for the first time since the car accident, her whole family was safe under one roof. Not just safe but loved, cared for, and hopeful about the future. The reunion planning had been about more than just bringing people together. It had been about creating a new kind of family, one built on choice and love rather than just blood relations. 3 weeks had passed since Terrell and Simone moved into the mansion, and the family had settled into a beautiful routine. Every morning began with breakfast together in the sunny kitchen, with Caleb in his high chair babbling happily while everyone planned their day. Christopher had converted part of his home office into a family planning center, where they could coordinate medical appointments, therapy sessions, and the children's activities. This morning's meeting was special because they were discussing Terrell's return to work and the family's long-term plans. "The doctors cleared me for light duty at my old job," Terrell announced, wearing a blue button-down shirt and looking healthier than he had in months. "I can start next week if I want to." "That's wonderful news, Daddy," Destiny said, clapping her hands. She wore a green dress with yellow butterflies, her hair in neat braids that Simone had learned to style again. "The question is," Simone added, "whether we should start looking for our own place soon." Christopher felt his heart skip a beat, but he kept his expression neutral. They had discussed this possibility many times, and he had always said that the family's independence and happiness were the most important considerations. "What does everyone want?" he asked carefully. Destiny looked around the table at all the adults. "Can I say something?" "Of course, sweetheart," Simone encouraged. "I love our family the way it is now. I love having Mama and Daddy here, and I love having Christopher here too. When we lived in our old apartment, Mama and Daddy were always worried about money and work. Now they smile more and we have more time to play together." Christopher was touched by her observation. It was true that Terrell and Simone seemed more relaxed and happy than they had described feeling before the accident. "But," Destiny continued, "I want Mama and Daddy to feel independent too. Maybe we could live close to each other instead of far apart." Christopher had been thinking about this situation for days, and he had an idea that might work for everyone. "Actually, I have a proposal that might interest everyone," he said. "But first, I want to make sure you know that you're welcome to stay here as long as you want, with no conditions or expectations." "We know that," Terrell said. "And we're more grateful than we can express. But we also don't want to take advantage of your kindness forever." "What if it wasn't taking advantage? What if it was a business partnership?" Christopher pulled out some papers he had prepared. "I've been thinking about starting a family foundation to help other children in situations like Destiny and Caleb faced. I need someone to run it, someone who understands what families go through during medical emergencies and system failures." He looked at both parents seriously. "Terrell, your background is in social work. Simone, you have experience in nonprofit management. You two have lived through exactly the kind of crisis we want to help other families navigate." "You want us to work for your foundation?" Simone asked. "I want us to build something together. A foundation that helps displaced children, supports families during medical crises, and reforms the systems that failed your family." Destiny bounced in her chair. You mean we could help other kids like me and Caleb? Exactly like that. And it would mean your parents would have meaningful work that uses their skills and experience, while our family could stay together. Christopher spread out architectural drawings on the table. I've also been thinking about renovating the carriage house on the property. It could be converted into a beautiful family home with complete privacy and independence, but still close enough for daily connection. The carriage house was a charming building about 100 yards from the main mansion, with enough space for a proper family home but separate from Christopher's daily life. The foundation work could be based here initially, and eventually we could move it to downtown offices once it's established. Terrell, you could focus on family services and policy reform. Simone, you could handle operations and community partnerships. Terrell and Simone exchanged looks full of surprise and possibility. Christopher, Terrell said slowly, are you offering us jobs or offering us a life? I'm offering you both. The foundation work would be real careers with real impact and fair compensation. The housing situation would give you independence while keeping our family close together. What about Destiny and Caleb? Simone asked. They could choose where they want to spend time. Some nights in the carriage house with you, some nights in the main house with me. Whatever feels right for all of us. Destiny clapped her hands together. So we could have two homes but still be one family. That's exactly right. Over the next several hours they discussed details, possibilities and concerns. Christopher had clearly thought through every aspect of the plan, from legal structures to financial arrangements to family dynamics. There's one more thing, Christopher said as they finished lunch. This foundation idea isn't just about helping others. It's about honoring what Destiny did. Her courage and love saved her brother and brought us all together. I want to make sure other children have the same kind of support she provided for Caleb. Destiny looked around the table at her parents and Christopher, all of them looking happy and hopeful. Are we really going to help other families? If your parents agree, then yes, we're going to help lots of other families. That evening, as they sat in the living room with Caleb playing on his blanket, Terrell and Simone gave their answer. We accept, Simone said, tears in her eyes. We accept the jobs, the housing arrangement, and the chance to build something meaningful together. We accept with gratitude and excitement, Terrell added. Destiny jumped up and hugged everyone in reach. Our family keeps getting better and better. As they prepared for bed that night, Christopher realized that what had started as a rescue during a snowstorm had become the foundation for something much larger. They weren't just a family anymore. They were a family with a mission to help other families stay together through crisis. The emotional meeting had been about much more than living arrangements or job opportunities. It had been about choosing to build a future together, based on the love and trust they had discovered in each other. 6 months later, the Williams Foundation for Family Crisis Support held its official opening ceremony. The downtown office space buzzed with activity as staff members, volunteers, and community leaders gathered to celebrate the launch of their services. Destiny stood on a small platform, wearing a beautiful red dress with white trim, preparing to cut the ribbon alongside her parents and Christopher. At 7 years old now, she had grown taller and more confident, but her kind heart remained exactly the same. Ladies and gentlemen, the mayor announced to the gathered crowd, this foundation was inspired by the courage of a 6-year-old girl who walked through a blizzard to save her baby brother. Today, that same courage is being channeled into helping other families facing similar crises. The crowd applauded as Destiny took the microphone with steady hands. My name is Destiny Williams, and this is my baby brother Caleb, she began, gesturing to 1-year-old Caleb, who was babbling happily in Simone's arms. When our parents got hurt, the system didn't work right for our family. But we found help anyway because there are good people in the world. She looked out at Christopher, who stood with Terrell behind the podium, both of them wearing matching blue ties. Christopher saved us during a snowstorm, but we saved him too. We became a family by choice, not just by blood. Now we want to help other families stay together during scary times. The applause was enthusiastic and heartfelt. Local news cameras captured the moment as Destiny, Terrell, Simone, and Christopher cut the ribbon together, officially opening the foundation's doors. The carriage house renovation had been completed 2 months earlier, creating a perfect family home for the Williams. It featured 4 bedrooms, a modern kitchen, and a cozy living room with a fireplace. The house was painted cheerful yellow with blue shutters, surrounded by flower gardens that Simone had planted. Most evenings, the two households came together for dinner, either in the mansion's formal dining room or around the picnic table in the backyard. The children moved freely between both homes, truly having the best of both independence and togetherness. Dr. Martinez continued as the family's physician and had become an unofficial aunt to the children. Jennifer had accepted a position as the Foundation's Family Services Coordinator, using her bilingual skills to help Hispanic families navigate crisis situations. Mrs. Patterson served on the Foundation's advisory board, ensuring that their services addressed the systemic problems that had nearly separated the Williams family permanently. The most important thing we've learned, Terrell explained to a reporter during the opening ceremony, is that family support shouldn't depend on luck or chance encounters. Every family facing medical crisis or system failure should have access to advocacy, resources, and temporary stability. The Foundation's services included emergency housing assistance, medical advocacy, legal support for family reunification, and most importantly, a 24-hour crisis hotline staffed by people who had lived through similar experiences. When families are in crisis, Simone added, they need more than just temporary help. They need someone who understands their situation and can help them navigate complex systems while keeping their children safe. Christopher had invested not just his money, but his time and energy into making the Foundation a model for family crisis support nationwide. Several other cities had already expressed interest in replicating their approach. The best part of this work, Christopher told the gathered crowd, is that it grew from love, not from guilt or obligation. The Williams family didn't just accept my help, they welcomed me into their lives and taught me what it means to truly care for others. As the ceremony continued, Destiny and Caleb played in the Foundation's children's area, which was designed to provide comfort and distraction for kids whose families were in crisis. The space included books, toys, art supplies, and comfortable furniture where children could feel safe while their parents worked with counselors and advocates. Destiny, a young girl about her age, approached shyly. My mom says you're the girl who started this place. I didn't start it by myself, Destiny replied, offering the girl a coloring book. My whole family started it together. Are you here because your family needs help? My dad is in the hospital and we don't have anywhere to stay. That's exactly what happened to us. Don't worry, the people here are really good at helping families. What's your name? Isabella Garcia. Hi Isabella, I'm Destiny. Do you want to color with me while your mom talks to the counselors? As Destiny helped Isabella choose crayons, Christopher watched from across the room and marveled at how naturally she had developed into a helper and comforter for other children in crisis. That evening, both families gathered in the mansion's living room to celebrate the Foundation's successful launch. Caleb crawled between the adults, babbling his newest words and bringing smiles to everyone's faces. I have an announcement, Christopher said as they shared cake and ice cream. The Foundation's board of directors voted today to make this work permanent. We've received enough initial funding to guarantee services for at least 5 years. Really? Destiny asked, jumping up excitedly. Really? And there's something else. 3 other cities want to start their own Williams Foundation branches. Terrell and Simone looked at each other with amazement. What had started as their personal crisis had become a model for helping families across the country. Christopher, Simone said softly, when you opened your door that snowy night, did you have any idea this would happen? I had no idea about any of this, Christopher admitted. I just knew that a little girl and her baby brother needed help, and I had help to give. And now look what we've built together, Terrell added, gesturing around the room full of family, friends, and colleagues who had all become part of their extended community. As they prepared for bed that night, Destiny asked Christopher the question she had been thinking about all day. Do you think we'll be able to help lots of families stay together? I think we're going to help more families than we can even imagine right now, Christopher replied, tucking her into her bed in the carriage house. Good. Because every kid should have what we have. What do we have? Love, safety, and people who choose to be family even when they don't have to be. The new beginning wasn't just about the Foundation or their living arrangements. It was about the ripple effects of kindness, courage, and love spreading outward to touch more lives than any of them had ever expected. 1 year later, the Williams Foundation had helped reunite 43 families and was preparing to open its second location in Chicago. The success had brought national attention, with Christopher and the Williams family appearing on television shows and speaking at conferences about family crisis support. But the most important changes were happening in their daily lives. Christopher sat in his home office, reviewing Foundation reports, when 7-year-old Destiny burst through the door wearing a bright blue dress with white flowers. Uncle Chris, guess what happened at school today? She called out, using the name that had evolved naturally over the months. Tell me everything, Christopher said, putting down his papers and giving her his full attention. Mrs. Rodriguez asked us to write about our heroes, and I wrote about you and Mama and Daddy. But then Tommy said I was making it up because families can't have 2 dads. Christopher's heart tightened. What did you tell Tommy? I told him that families come in all different shapes, and love is what makes them real, not just blood. Then I told him about how you saved me and Caleb during the snowstorm, and how Mama and Daddy got better, and how we all decided to be family together. How did Tommy respond to that? He said it sounded like the best kind of family ever. Then he asked if you could adopt him too because his dad left last year. Christopher smiled at the innocence of children and the wisdom they often displayed. What did you tell him about that? I told him that we help lots of families through the foundation, so maybe we could help his mom too. Was that okay? That was perfect, sweetheart. You're learning to think like a true advocate. The foundation work had indeed become a family affair. Terrell managed family services and had developed a national reputation for his innovative approaches to family reunification. Simone handled operations and had been invited to consult with government agencies about improving social services systems. Even Caleb, now walking and starting to talk, had become the foundation's unofficial mascot. His bright smile and cheerful babbling had comforted dozens of children whose families were in crisis. That evening brought the biggest surprise yet. Christopher had called a family meeting in the living room of the main house, where everyone gathered after dinner. I have some news that I wanted to share with everyone at the same time, Christopher began, looking around at the faces of the people who had become his whole world. Destiny sat cross-legged on the floor playing peekaboo with Caleb. Terrell and Simone shared the couch, holding hands like the newlyweds they felt like after their second chance at life and love. The foundation has been offered a major federal grant to expand nationwide. It would mean opening offices in 10 cities and helping thousands of families every year. Everyone cheered and clapped. This was the kind of success they had dreamed about but hardly dared to expect so quickly. But there's something else, Christopher continued. The grant comes with a requirement that the foundation's leadership team relocate to Washington, D.C. for at least 2 years to oversee the national expansion. The room grew quiet as everyone processed what this might mean. Does that mean we'd all move to Washington? Destiny asked. Only if everyone wants to. The decision has to be unanimous because we're a family, and families make big decisions together. Terrell leaned forward. Christopher, this is an incredible opportunity. We could help so many more families. But it would mean leaving our home here, leaving the life we've built, Simone added thoughtfully. Christopher had been thinking about this decision for weeks. Actually, I have a proposal. What if we think of this not as leaving our home, but as expanding our family's reach? He pulled out house listings he had been researching. There's a beautiful property outside Washington with enough space for both families, room for a home office, and land for Caleb to grow up with space to run and play. You mean we'd all move together? Destiny asked hopefully. If that's what everyone wants. We could keep this house too as our original home base. But we could build a new home together in Washington while we do this important work. The family spent the evening discussing possibilities, concerns, and dreams. The conversation was filled with excitement about the impact they could have on a national scale. I have one condition, Destiny announced during their discussion. What's that, baby girl? Terrell asked. Whatever house we get has to have enough room for kids to visit when their families are in crisis. Like a safe place where they can play and not be scared. That's a beautiful condition, Christopher agreed. We'll make sure any house we choose can accommodate visiting children. The decision, when it came, was unanimous. They would accept the federal grant, relocate to Washington as a family, and expand their mission of keeping families together during crisis. 6 months later, they were settled in a large, welcoming home in Virginia, complete with a children's playroom, a home office for foundation work, and separate wings for both the Christopher and the Williams nuclear family units. The national expansion of the Williams Foundation had exceeded everyone's expectations. They had successfully reunited over 200 families and had developed protocols that were being adopted by social services agencies across the country. But the greatest success was measured in smaller moments. Destiny, now 8 years old, had started a pen pal program connecting children who had experienced family crisis. Caleb, at 2 years old, had become a therapy companion for visiting children, his natural friendliness helping to calm their fears. Christopher had found his life's purpose in work that grew directly from the love he felt for his chosen family. Terrell and Simone had built careers that used their personal experience to help others navigate system failures and family separation. On a quiet Sunday evening, as they all sat in their Virginia living room, Destiny made an announcement. I've decided what I want to be when I grow up. What's that? Everyone asked almost in unison. I want to do what we do now but for kids all around the world. I want to make sure no kid ever has to walk through a blizzard to find help for their family. Christopher felt tears spring to his eyes as he realized that the little girl who had knocked on his door during a snowstorm had grown into a young person with the vision and determination to change the world. "You know what, Destiny," he said, pulling her close for a hug, "I think you're going to do exactly that." As bedtime approached and the family prepared to separate into their respective homes within their shared property, Christopher reflected on the journey that had brought them all together. A desperate knock during a blizzard had become a life-changing rescue. A temporary arrangement had become a permanent family. A personal crisis had become a national mission to help other families stay together. "Uncle Chris," Destiny said as she hugged him goodnight, "do you ever wonder what would have happened if I hadn't knocked on your door that night?" "Sometimes," Christopher admitted. "But then I remember that brave, loving people like you always find a way to create the families and communities they need. If it hadn't been my door, it would have been someone else's door, because you never would have given up on protecting Caleb. But I'm glad it was your door. I'm glad it was my door too, sweetheart. It was the best knock I've ever answered." As Christopher tucked Destiny into bed in her new room, surrounded by photos of all the families they had helped stay together, he realized that their story was still being written. Every family they reunited, every child they comforted, every system they improved was another chapter in the story that had started with a little girl's desperate courage during a snowstorm. The forever family they had built together was proof that love, kindness, and hope could overcome any crisis. And their work ensured that other families would have the same opportunity to stay together, to heal together, and to build new definitions of what family could be. The little girl who had begged for shelter had become a young advocate for children everywhere. The billionaire who had opened his door had found his life's purpose. The parents who had nearly lost everything had become leaders in family crisis support. Together they had created not just a family, but a legacy of compassion that would help families for generations to come. Their story was no longer about survival. It was about hope, growth, and the incredible power of choosing to love and care for each other across all boundaries and circumstances. And every night, as they said their gratitude prayers before bed, they thanked the snowstorm that had brought them together and the courage of a 6-year-old girl who had refused to let her family be separated by crisis. The Williams Foundation continued to grow, but the Williams-Blake family remained at its heart, living proof that the most powerful force in the world is the decision to open your door and your heart to those who need help the most.